Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Midnight Brownies. I'm your host, Hawtbrown Suga.
And deglazed buns.
And today we will be talking about my failed attempt at making cinnamon buns this week. So, as a New Year's resolution, I wanted to bake more, because baking's kind of like a hobby of mine. I like it when it turns out good. So I was like, you know what, let's test the waters. Let's make some cinnamon buns. I got a stand mixer last year for Christmas because I was like, I'm sick and tired of looking at recipes and they say use a stand mixer. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get a stand mixer. But anyway, that's besides the point. So I'm like, yeah, cinnamon buns, and I looked up a recipe on YouTube. I don't know who's the channel name or whatever, but I just looked up a quick, easy recipe, and so I'm like, thankfully, I had most of the ingredients at home, and the first batch that I made, I forgot to put in salt in the dough, and the dough was not coming together. It was crumbly, and also, when I combined the yeast in the warm milk, all the yeast had settled at the bottom instead of in butter in the egg, so I was like, that's not good, but I was like, screw it, I'm not gonna waste it, I'm gonna just keep on rolling because it's cinnamon rolls, get it? Anyway, so I make the first batch, didn't come together. It was a lot of crumbs. I just threw out all the crumbs because I'm like, okay, whatever. And I'm looking at the video, and my dough was not sticky. Like how it was in the video. I'm like, my dough is way more firm than it should have been in the video, but I'm like, okay, whatever, keep going with it. So then I'm like, as I'm proofing it in the oven, I'm like, nah, we're gonna try again. And I'm glad I tried again because I forgot the salt, like I mentioned in the first batch. I'm like, I didn't even know there was salt. So I made a second batch of the dough, and this time I whisked it together. Whisked together. Whisked it together, the yeast and warm milk mixture. I whisked it together, make sure it's well incorporated, and then I put it in the dough, the freaking flour and sugar or whatever. And the dough came together a little bit better, but it was still just not the sticky consistency that it was in the video. But I thought that the second dough would be, a bit better, because I'm like, yeah, I put the salt in and it came together, and I whisked in the yeast. So then I put it in the oven, and it proofed for like 2 hours, yada, yada, yada. Okay, I'm feeling good. I see the dough rising. I'm like, yeah, this is going to be great. So then I take it out. Once like 2 hours comes up, I roll it out. I put in the brown sugar mixture, the cinnamon, and the recipe said to use butter. I didn't feel like thawing out butter. I just use vegetable spread. It's already spreadable. I'm not doing that. I don't got time to wait for room temp butter. Vegetable spread is good, so it's good enough for me. It works. Use vegetable spread. I put the brown sugar in there, whatever, yada, yada, yada. And I roll it up, and it's not a uniform roll. It's very not firm roll. It was a bit floppy, and it didn't hold together at all. So, had to go back and fix a few patches up, and some rolls were definitely more uneven than others, but whatever. I'm like, yeah, okay, rolled it. I see a swirl, there's brown sugar in there. Yeah, this is gonna be great. I put it in there, and then the recipe said to let it proof for an extra 30 minutes. So then I put the cinnamon rolls on the tray, and I pop them in the oven to proof for the extra 30 minutes. And this is where the disaster comes in, because I was like, okay, I need to make cream cheese frosting. We didn't have cream cheese, and everywhere apparently ran out of cream cheese, and I was like, ah, dang. I was hoping I wouldn't have to freaking run out because it's snowing here, but whatever. I was like, okay, I'm gonna run to the Food Lion and get some cream cheese, right? I'm like, okay, I got 30 minutes. I wasted most of that time trying to find my keys. They were upstairs. So then by the time I leave, it's like 24 minutes. Mind you, it probably takes about, what'd you say, like 10 minutes to get to Food Lion?
Less than that, like 7.
7 minutes to get to the Food Lion that's closest to us. And around that time when people get off work and they're doing last minute grocery shopping, so it's kind of getting busy. So I go to Food Lion, and I get the cream cheese and the powdered sugar and the milk needed for the frosting. And in the back of my mind, I'm like, I should have called tell her to check on the cinnamon buns in the oven because I'm like, it's probably way past 30 minutes now. But I was like, no, it's fine. It will just be extra proof. It's all good. It's fine.
It wasn't good. It was not good.
And then I know she probably didn't hear the timer go off. But I'm like, it's fine. It's fine. I'll make it. I know it's way past the 30 minutes, but it's all good. So I check out Food Lion. I got the stuff to make the frosting. And I'm coming back home. I'm excited. I'm like, man, I can't wait for these cinnamon buns. They're going to turn out so good. And as soon as I come back home, the timer's not even beeping. It's just done. It literally just says end. Timer was had enough of my BS. It just says end. Timer was had enough of my BS. And I pop open the oven door, and the first thing I screamed was no, because my cinnamon buns literally deflated in the oven. It conformed to the shape of the flat tray, and all the sugar and the cinnamon filling melted out of the cinnamon bun at the bottom, and it was literally a flat cinnamon bun sheet. It was like not even a cake. It was just conformed to the sheet. It was flat. It was just like a cinnamon bun bread at this point. And my freaking bacon buns, I was like, I'm not doing this again. I should have called and asked DeGlaze to take out the buns. But I was like, nah, it's cool, fine. Wrong. Always check the process of proofing, because you don't want none to deflate. I mean, I'm not a baker, but still. So then there goes my hopes and dreams down the drain. But I'm like, nah, I'm gonna still bake it because, it will be a waste. Maybe they'll rise. Maybe they'll rise back up again from the depths of being deflated. So I'm like, they'll rise back up in the oven. So I preheat the oven anyway, and I pop them back in there. And while the cinnamon buns are baking, I'm like, okay, let me make this frosting. So I make the frosting. At this point, I was just done. I didn't even bother looking at the recipe anymore because I was like, what's the point? My cinnamon buns are deflated. They're like literally, I should have taken a picture of how deflated they were. I think I do have a picture of it, but anyway, I didn't even look at the recipe for the cream cheese frosting. I took like a scoop of cream cheese. I put way too much milk. Way too much milk to powdered sugar ratio. And I was like, this is way too liquidy. And then I didn't feel like washing the stand mixer blades again. So I was like, I'm going to mash in the cream cheese with the spoon. And then I had to add even more powdered sugar, which makes more of a mess and makes more unnecessary frosting. So whatever, I make the frosting. And as I watch the cinnamon buns, cinnamon rolls, I can't tell the difference. As I watched them in the oven, they were not rising. They were still flat. They were still deflated. They were still in the shape of the baking pan, and they didn't rise at all. So by the end of it, when the timer goes off, I pull them out, and I'm like, they absolutely were bad. And then I put the frosting on it. The frosting by itself didn't taste bad, but then I put on the buns, and then it didn't look any better. Then who else comes? Oh, Mom tastes it first. She's like, oh, I was thinking of something sweet, and she's like, oh my gosh, this is so nice. You made cinnamon buns, and I take the first bite, and I'm like, this is trash. It's not even brown sugar. I didn't taste any brown sugar. I didn't taste any cinnamon, and the frosting wasn't even that good. And so I go upstairs. I tell DeGlaze, hey, the cinnamon buns are done. And then she's like, oh, I didn't know you made cinnamon buns. I'm like, yeah, they're not good. They're pretty trash. And then she can tell you how I moped about for the rest of the day.
Yeah, jeez, you gotta witness what happens when one of her bakes doesn't go the way she plans. She completely shuts the flip down, and I'm like, what is wrong? What is the problem? She's like, yeah, they're not good. They're just not good. I'm like, well, what? I don't understand. You gave it a try. So she just completely broke down and moped for the rest of the day. Rest of the day.
I hopped right in that bed, and I was like, I'm done. Nobody come talk to me. I will be resting up until tomorrow morning, and hopefully I will be in a better mood. So when I tasted it, I thought it was trash. I thought it was atrocious. So tell me, What are you again? Deglazed?
Yeah, deglazed.
Deglazed buns. Tell me, what were your thoughts when you first had the cinnamon buns? The deflated cinnamon bread at this point.
I would call them cinnamon discs,
Cinnamon discs.
to be honest. Cinnamon discs and one large rectangular cinnamon plate. One big.
Yeah, one huge, one huge thing.
Yes, one huge plate of cinnamon bun roll.
One bun, one world.
Yes, one bun, one world. But yeah, first I saw it and I was like, flat. But I was like, okay, It's like, but as long as it tastes fine. So I tasted it, and I'm not gonna lie and say it was good. However, it wasn't the worst thing I've had. I don't think it was one of our worst like mess ups of trying to follow a recipe. But it wasn't great. But I was like, okay, we gave it a shot. And then no, she shut it down. Shut the whole game down. For the rest of the day, she slid in the bed, went on her phone, and blocked us all out. I did not see her downstairs until the next day. Not even lying. This is how sad and depressed she became. Just like how the cinnamon rolls deflated, so were her hopes and dreams for the day.
That's my baker spirit gone. Deflated like the buns, man. I was just... you want to make something good, you want to bake something good for everybody to enjoy, you want to be proud of it, and that doesn't turn out like how you expected it to turn out. It kind of just turns you to, like a sour mood, you kind of want to give up entirely on baking. I mean, like, I bought this stand mixer, in hopes of, like, inspiring the baker within, at least get some good stuff, try exploring different things besides just getting Pillsbury, cookies, even though those are good. Those are really good. And getting like box cake mixes and brownie stuff. I was like, yeah, let's test the waters and try something new. And then it just wasn't it. So after my mental breakdown, my mental bake breakdown the other day, and shutting down everything and my family because I failed them by not providing the best baked goods I can. I woke up this morning, I was like, it's going to be a better day. I'm not going to give up. I'm going to bake something again. I don't know what it will be, but I'm going to bake something again, and it's going to be okay, and at least I tried. I think it's probably funny to always look back and see, like, what went wrong, when you're baking. Because I don't know if it's just me, but every time I look up at baking recipes and I use the exact same measuring cup, something goes wrong within the process. I feel like I make very dense, like, baked goods. Like, they're never light and fluffy. Like, when I make bread, I make some dense bread. Dense bread, Like, in the video, it's like, oh, it's, like, nice and light and fluffy. And it's like, oh, this is the easiest, fluffiest bread you'll make. And then I make it, and it somehow becomes very dense, and it's not fluffy. And I use all-purpose flour, and I'm like, okay, maybe next time I'll use bread flour or something. But, just trying to step up the baking game, and not everything seems as picture perfect. These people that make the baked goods and provide you the recipes, that's what they do. They're bakers. They know how the ingredients work together. They know the science behind baking. That's why commoners, we use the box stuff. Which isn't bad. It good.
Tastes good.
It's good.
It's fast and easy.
Yeah, and then so all of that, and it typically turns out good. Typically, you get some frosting up on there, and you're good to go. And then if you're feeling a little fancy smanchy, you can add like some vanilla extract or whatever, some like walnuts or peanuts, whatever other baking accessories you want to add up there. But I mean, the box stuff can get you pretty far in terms of like baking stuff. It's beginner friendly. I just want to be at that point where I can like confidently make baked goods, because sometimes you just feel like just making stuff at home instead of going out and getting it.
I know this sounds like we're depressing you and deterring you from trying to bake your own goods, but it's not like that. It does sound like we're encouraging you to just get it boxed and forget about it. However, We are trying to grow this year. It's 2022, and we will not be deflated.
Yeah. The moral of this episode is don't become the deflated bun. You know, I want you to repeat that anytime you bake and it doesn't turn out like how you expected. Don't become the deflated bun, because
don't become the deflated
it can
bun.
rise again. Give it another shot and you too can rise again. Also trying to give out some wisdom. And also, this is just from our perspective. I understand that, you know, everybody bakes differently. This is just through our experience. So, it is a cinnamon bun story.
Well, thank you, Hawtbrown Suga, for that story and this whole episode. So, tune in whenever we decide to upload.
Yeah, we're not consistent here.
Not gonna happen.
No. So, just be thankful that we do upload. So, until next time on Midnight Brownie.